This is WT for TST, and this evening we're honoured to be joined by Andrew Moloney. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing well, mate. Thanks for having me on.
I'm just thinking, actually, I say good evening or this evening. Mate, you've just got up, haven't you?
Yeah, it's morning here. It's 9 o'clock.
Mate, so it's 10 p.m. here, 9 a.m. over there. And trying to organise this was taxing my... It should really be simple maths, but it was taxing my brain, mate. But anyway, listen, glad to have you on. Just as I say this to everybody, first time on TST, what we like to do is go back to your childhood, really, and understand who you are behind the gloves. Everyone sees you on screen, everyone sees you boxing, but what was life growing up like for you? And definitely because, obviously, within Australia... you're our first Australian guest, so congratulations. Let's take us back to where your life began, Mitcham, Australia. What was that like?
Yeah, so that's where I was born, in Mitcham, but didn't really spend much time there. We moved around quite a lot growing up in our early days. Lived sort of all around the eastern suburbs of Melbourne, so Croydon, Moorbark, Lilydale, Ringwood area. Our parents split up when we were pretty young. I can't even remember. I think we were maybe 4 years old or so. And they then remarried a few years later, both of them. And then later on had kids of their own with their new partners. So I've got sort of one brother with my dad and stepmom, and then two little sisters on my mum and stepdad's side. So got a huge family. I've obviously got a twin brother as well, as most people know. And I've also got an older brother who's, what is he? Just over a year older than us. So yeah, huge family.
So what was school like? I've got to ask this, right, because me and my brother are really close as well, but having a twin, what's that? What's it like? I mean, what's it like, first of all? Because I just think of things like you'll have loads of stories where you've swapped places or one of you's gone out with a girlfriend. I'm talking young, not as you're getting older, but one of you's, swapping places. Do they notice? What was it like? Do you do any of that stuff or not?
Yeah, we did. We played a few tricks on people, but looking back, we really should have used it to our advantage a bit more. But yeah, when we were very young, we were even more identical the younger we were. And Mum used to always dress me in red, and Jason was always in blue. And when we'd go to like preschool and stuff like that, we'd sometimes go and change clothes so no one knew which one we were, and try and confuse people. And even did that up until when we were a bit older. Even in high school, I remember swapping classes with my brother one day, and he did the whole day in my class, and I did the whole day in his, and just little things like that, just trying to play tricks on people because we could. But yeah, we definitely, looking back now, should have used it to our advantage a bit more.
But in your last fight, you wore his shorts as well, didn't you? So is that not the same thing?
Yeah, that's right. Or maybe it was Jason in there. No, it wasn't. I shouldn't say that. It was definitely me. But yeah, no, I used his shorts in the last fight. They were a bit of a good luck pair. Sort of the situation really switched around the second time we went to Vegas. The first time we both fought over there, I lost my fight, and Jason fought 2 days later and had a really good win and sort of redeemed our name. So when we went back this time, Jason lost fighting before me, and I was fighting 2 weeks after him. So I thought I'd swap things around, and I used those same shorts as a bit of a lucky memento, and should have won the fight. But yeah, some things didn't go my way that night, but I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll go into that in a bit. So let's take us back again then. So how did you, from Australia and stuff, there's not that many top level boxers that come through or seem to come through. So what is it like over there? How did you both get into boxing?
Yeah, that's right. Boxing's really not a big sport in Australia. Everybody basically wants to play Australian rules football. AFL, we call it over here. That's the top sport. And growing up as kids, that's what me and Jason wanted to do. We wanted to play Australian rules football professionally, and that was our dream growing up. And basically we'd have a footy in our hand, almost 24 hours of the day. We just loved the sport. And They've always been really driven people. So even back then when we were 13, we wanted to get an edge on the rest of the competition. So during pre-season, we went down to the local boxing gym to use boxing just to get fit for football, just to give us an advantage. And started boxing and just did it for fitness at first. For the first probably 3 years, we were just maybe training 2 or 3 times a week, and enjoyed it, but weren't really taking it that serious. And football at that stage was still our main passion. So we were trying to juggle the two, play football and boxing for a while. Started competing after 3 years, so we were 16 when we had our first fight. And basically just some of the older blokes down at the gym said to us, you guys should start fighting in the amateurs, you'd go really well. So we thought, yeah, it's pre-season again. Let's have a few fights before the footy season starts. And I lost my first 7 fights, and Jason lost his first 3 or 4. And you would think that would turn you away from the sport, but I'm super competitive and I hate losing at anything.
No.
So I thought, nah, stuff this. I want to win. And at that, I'd really developed a passion for boxing at that stage. And I thought, nah, I want to give this boxing stuff a real red hot crack. And I stopped playing football and started boxing every night of the week. And once I dedicated myself to the sport, things really started to turn around. And I went on to win and kept winning for a few years in a row and made my way onto the Australian national team and went to world championships and Commonwealth Games and things like that, and really fell in love with the sport.
So we'll go into that a little bit, actually, because through your amateur career and stuff, you've boxed in a lot of different countries, haven't you? I mean, some of the ones that I looked at before was Kazakhstan, Turkey, Cuba. Where's the favourite place you've boxed?
Probably Cuba. I spent quite a lot of time in Cuba. I went there twice and spent like a good few months there each time. It's like a training camp and competitions every couple of weeks. And we'd train twice a day, and in between that, we're chilling out on the beach and just having a good time. And yeah, I really like Cuba. It's a great place.
Whereabouts in Cuba? I've been to Cuba. We went to where was it? Cayo Guillermo, I think it was. Were you like Valadero down the bottom?
Yeah, most of the time we're in Havana. They got their sort of sports school and the national team there, but most of the time we're out of a sports school. Trying to think of the name of it, ESPA, and it's crazy over there. They go to school for sort of half the day, and they go into the boxing gym at school, and it's sort of like a sports school. But the kids there, some of them are like maybe 10 years old, or even around that age anyway. And what we'll do in sparring with them, and they're just animals at 10 years old. And, like half of them don't have mouth guards in, their gloves have got no padding, and they're just beating the crap out of each other. And yeah, it's amazing the level they are at that age.
Did you get time to have a look at all the old cars and stuff while you're there as well? Because they fascinated me.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? Like every car on the street is, this old classic car, and that you don't see these days anywhere else. And yeah, it's sort of like you're back in a time machine when you go there.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. Right, before we go into your last 2 fights, I want to know about Bob Arum. What's he really like? Is he really like Uncle Bob, or is it all business with him?
No, Bobby's amazing. Like when we first signed with Top Rank, we were absolutely pumped. Obviously, Top Rank's the biggest promotional company in the world. It was a dream come true. But in the back of our mind, we're sort of thinking, we're just a couple of kids from Australia. They got so many other fighters, and, they got like 7 of the top 10 pound for pound fighters in the world signed to them. And we're thinking, are we going to be, a bit of a small fish in a big pond and really, not get looked after as well as we'd hope? But it's been the complete opposite. Like we they couldn't have treated us better than they have so far. We've been signed with them for just over a year now. And our debut in America, Top Rank debut, they gave myself and my brother both headline shows on the same week and made it like a Moloney week in Vegas, which was amazing. And then this time around, Jason headlining against Inui, and then 2 weeks later I'm co-featured to Crawford and Brooks. So the opportunities they've given us and the exposure has just been amazing. And then, you know, what's happened in my last fight, well, firstly, losing that first fight with Top Rank over here in America, I was sort of thinking, oh, you know, I've just blown this. They're going to, you know, possibly say, see you later. But they straight away said, no, great fight. We'll give you the rematch. Come back over in, you know, 5 months' time. We'll do the rematch and you can have another chance to get that belt back. So I was extremely grateful for that. And then with the controversy that surrounded that second fight, now they've really backed me and they're doing everything they can to make sure that decision gets overturned. And even if it doesn't, we're, you know, Bob said to me, don't worry, we're going to do the third fight and we're hopefully going to do that in Australia. So that would just be massive for me to finally get that world title back, and to do it in front of a huge crowd in Australia would just be a dream come true.
So take us back to the first fight then, because you had some issues in that fight, didn't you? Both your ears, I believe, were
Perforated.
Yeah. I guess my question, it might be a weird question, but after that, you've lost your world title, you've suffered damage. What's the worst bit? I think I know what you're going to say, but is it suffering all the damage and the physical pain, or is it losing your title?
Yeah.
I think I know what you're going to say, but
well, absolutely. But it's amazing, like that fight actually gave me confidence in a way that's the most damage I've ever sustained in a fight. I had both my eardrums perforated, my nose was broken, had a big cut inside my mouth and also another one over my eye. And, you know, a week after that fight, I was completely healed up, I felt. And I thought, if that's the worst thing that can happen in the ring, then bring it on. Like, that's nothing. I'll go through that 10 times over to get that world title back. And yeah, so to answer your question, like the loss hurt way more than any of the injuries I sustained.
That's a really probably different way that I thought that you would say it anyway. And actually, when you think about it, that could really motivate someone. Like you said, you know, I've took all this damage, but actually a week later I'm absolutely fine. Bring it on. Hence, so we go back and we'll go forward and we go, right, 5 months away, you sacrifice your time with your family and everything to go get your world title back. You're in the right mindset. Tell us what you had to change.
It's hard for me to go into detail because we're going to end up fighting a third time and I don't want to give much away, but it was just there
was a significant difference though with you know, them first two, you blew them away in the first 2 rounds. Let's be quite honest about it. The game plan was, you know, working perfectly. If you want to avoid that question, let's slightly change it then and say, after the first 2 rounds, what were you thinking?
I knew that I had him. I'd had that loss like really lit a fire inside me and just made me realize how badly I want it, and the fact that I really have nothing else other than boxing. So I need to make it work for me and for my family, my young son. And over that 5 months, I just gave it absolutely everything I had to try and improve as much as possible, to fix any mistakes I was making, and to get in the best shape of my life to make sure that I won that second fight. And that training camp was the best camp I've had by a mile. And I was sparring so well in the lead up, and I was sparring 12 rounds with, like, you know, 2 or 3 different guys and wasn't even getting tired. And I went into that fight just really confident that I knew what I needed to do. And after the first round, I was like, yeah, I've got this. I just was on fire. Everything that we'd been working on was working in the ring, and I could feel myself breaking him down in that second round, and could sense from him that he'd had enough. He didn't want to be there. And whether the eye was damaged or not, I believe I would have stopped him in the next few rounds. And yeah, everything was going perfect. Even up until the moment the fight was stopped, I was so sure that was from a punch, and the referee hadn't made it clear that he'd called a head clash. So I jumped up on the rope and was celebrating, thinking I just won the fight by TKO, until couple of seconds later, I was told the bad news.
And then what are you thinking? Because obviously, a lot of people will be tuning into your fight and for the Brook fight. 30-minute delay is like, it's sort of like unheard of, isn't it? I don't remember that happening before ever. Then you think about, definitely in England, VAR's quite a new thing in football, or soccer as you probably call it. It just felt weird, and that's from a viewer's point of view. So what it felt like for you in the ring, and with no crowd, eeriness, I guess. What's that? What did it feel like?
Well, that was, so once they said to me, no, it was a head clash, I knew it wasn't. So I was saying, no, it wasn't. It was a punch. It was a punch. So my team said, let's get the video, because Nevada's, I think, the only commission in the world at the moment that has the instant replay. We said, watch the video. And so they did. They went to the instant replay. And then, I think 27 minutes or something, we were in the ring while they looked over the replay. And I was getting frustrated they hadn't made a decision, but because I was ready to celebrate, that was my moment. But at the same time, the longer it went, the more confident I was they were going to turn the decision in my favor, because I was communicating with the commentary team, Timothy Bradley, Andre Ward, Joe Tessitore, even Bob Arum was watching the video, and all of them were saying, there's no head clash. It's a punch. It's definitely a punch. So I was thinking, well, they can see it. Surely the commission can see it, and they're going to overturn the decision. But after almost 30 minutes, they couldn't find a head clash, and they still said no contest. And I just couldn't believe it.
So what's actually happening now then? Is it legalities? Is that where we go?
Yeah, that's right. So my team and Bob Arum have got a lawyer to appeal our decision. And that's all happening at the moment. They're going back and forward with the Nevada Commission to try and get this decision overturned and get them to review the fight again. So that's a bit of a waiting game at the moment.
So when you were talking before, you've probably mentioned about 3 times already, there's definitely going to be a third fight. Is there going to be a third fight, whatever happens with this court battle or whatever, yeah?
Yeah, yep. Well, his team has said they want it. We definitely want it. Even if the decision is overturned, my way, I still want to do this third fight with Franco. Firstly, to show that I am the deserving champion, and to clear any sort of doubt in anyone's mind. And then secondly, because it's a big fight now. There's going to be a lot of people watching it. There's going to be a lot of interest because of everything that's happened in the last one.
So you said you want it in Australia. Where would that be? Where would be the perfect venue?
Yeah, absolutely. So all the states at the moment will basically try and fight to have it in their location. So I don't want to say which one will be my preferred, but anywhere in Australia I'd be really happy with. And things are getting back to normal here after COVID, so we can have big crowds in, especially outdoor arenas. So hopefully we can put it on in a big outdoor arena and have a huge crowd, and to win that world title back finally after all of this that I've gone through in Australia in front of my friends and family would just make all of this so worth it.
And do you know what, mate? With all the emotions you've been through and stuff, people always say things happen for a reason, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. And if we can do this in Australia and win that belt back here, it'll definitely all be worth it.
Good stuff, mate. Right, well, listen, that's us, apart from we always finish with a few questions from the followers, if that's all right. So I've got 3 or 4 questions. The first one, if I'm going to preempt it, you might not want to talk about it because you're so focused on this Franco fight. However, I'll ask it anyway because it's from somebody. So Alex wants to know, I'd love to see you fight in the UK, and I'd love that fight to be against Cal Yafai. Is that a fight that would interest you down the line?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know, but we chased that Cal Yafai fight for like 3 years. When he had the WBA belt, I was coming up in the ratings. I actually fought a world title eliminator over in Chile and was mandatory to fight Yafai. Chased that fight for so long, and then right when the mandatory was due, he organised a fight with Chocolatito, and because of Chocolatito's name and everything he's achieved, the WBA allowed him to fight Yafai, and they made that because I'd been waiting so long. And because of Chocolatito's, past history of being a former champion in so many times in so many divisions, they made that title for the Super Championship, and I then fought for the regular title, which was basically the resolution for me missing out on the mandatory. So I chased that fight for so long. It may still happen in the future, but I believe he's gone up to bantamweight now. So we'll see. But I'll be staying at super flyweight for at least the next few years.
All right. Cheers, mate. Right, next one. Mason wants to know, what's your all-time favourite movie?
It's a bit of a stupid one, really, but Dumb and Dumber is my favourite movie. I can't go past it. It cracks me up every time I watch it.
That is listen, it's a random question, but it's an even more random answer. Did you watch quite a few movies on the flight then?
I didn't actually.
No.
I normally do, but I had 3 days in Vegas before we flew home, and I couldn't sleep for those 3 days. I just had the fight playing over and over my head, just trying to work out how this all happened, and basically didn't sleep. So by the time I got on the plane, I was that exhausted. I just slept the whole way.
And then you're now self-isolating in a hotel with your brother, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. So the rules here in Australia, if you're travelled from overseas, when you return, you go straight into hotel quarantine, which you're stuck in a hotel room and you can't leave at all. They don't even give you the key to the door. They just swipe you in and say, we'll see you in 2 weeks. And they obviously knock on the door and deliver you meals and things like that. It's a very, very slow days while we're in here. These 2 weeks feels like 2 months. Especially I've been away for 9 weeks already from my family. So I'm just hanging to get home and see them. I've got a son who's only 16 months old who I haven't seen for 9 weeks this time. And I've spent 5 months away from him and my wife this year. So I'm really looking forward to getting home and enjoying some quality time with them and having a good Christmas and then getting back into training for the third fight.
Get that fight back on, yeah. Right, okay, so you've probably already answered this one as well, but Freddie wants to know, apart from boxing, what's your favourite sport? So I think it's obviously your footy. So tell us about the team you follow instead.
I'm a Carlton supporter, the Blue Boys. I don't watch as much AFL as I'd like to, especially because when you're overseas, it's hard to tune in. But yeah, I've been a Carlton fan for my whole life, so there's your answer.
Right, and last one. I won't bore you with the story, but there was a girl that messaged me all the time. Whoever was on, she wanted to ask the same question, so I've just kind of blocked her and I've just took the question because I quite like it. What are your top 3 chocolate bars?
Oh, I'm a big Cadbury fan. I reckon the Marvelous Creation might be my new favourite. And then Black Forest, big fan of Black Forest. And then third.
Ask Jason what his favourite is.
What's your favourite chocolate, Jason? I'll probably go Snickers.
Everyone says Snickers is in everyone's top 3. It's a reliable one, isn't it? It's a reliable.
You can't go wrong with the Snickers.
No, mate. Right, that's it then, mate. Unless you've got anything from the viewers or your sponsors.
Well, firstly, thank you everyone for the amount of support I received since the fight. It's been crazy. I've had thousands of messages all telling me that I'm the real champ and to keep my chin up. So thank you to everyone for your support. And then thank you to my sponsors too. I couldn't do it without them. So I'll give a shout out to my 2 major sponsors, Forest One and the Plumbing and Pipe Trades Employees Union, who they've been supporting me and Jason since way back in our amateur days. So couldn't do it without them.
Right. Thank you very much, mate. Thanks for your time. All the best. Have a great Christmas. It still feels too early to say that, but have a great Christmas and enjoy your family when you get back to them, mate. All the best.
I will, mate. Thanks for having me on. It's been great.
Cheers, pal.
Cheers.